All right. Thank you so much for keeping it Citizen Television. We really appreciate your time if you woke up with us up to this far. But in case you're just joining us, don't worry. You're just in time for a very important conversation. The third interview that we had lined up for you this particular morning. And you know, we live in an era where there is rapid technological advancement. We have economic transformations. We are looking at an era where the job market is evolving each and every day. That is why it is important for you to understand the skills. And when I say you, I mean you as an individual. We are also talking about companies that are employing and also policymakers, so that we know what the future looks like and how do we prepare for that future. Some would say the future is already here with us, considering what is currently happening if you observe the trend. That is why this morning we want to talk about exactly that, skills development as we prepare for the fourth industrial revolution. And I have with me a panel of two, a gentleman and a lady who understand the depths of this fourth industrial revolution and what it requires when it comes to the skill sets that you need to acquire in case you want to really stay ahead of the pack in this. And I have with me in studio Yvonne Kagondu. Yvonne is a Web3 expert. She's also a co-founder ICP Kushite East Africa, and also I'm having in studio this morning Tevin Isaac. Tevin is a blockchain developer, and also to add, Yvonne is also a blockchain expert. Thank you so much for creating time for us.
Thank you.
All right, so this morning we just want to talk about the future of work and what that looks like, and what we need to do to really be ready and stay afloat when it comes to navigating the dynamics of the changing world of work, which is increasingly becoming digital, if you may ask me. Technology is like, it's not the new thing, it's the normal. It's actually the life that we live today. But you know, when we discuss, let me start with you, Tevin, when you're talking about this fourth industrial revolution, a while back it was an alien subject. It was far off, it was the future. We were looking at it like now we are looking at 2030. But it's here, and it's just around the corner. But what does it really look like, and what are some of the demands that come with this transition in a simple language for somebody who wants to understand what the fourth industrial revolution is?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. So first of all, we have to look at the way the world is revolving. First of all, we have AI. We're in a world whereby now robots are all over. They're doing the work that human beings should do, and you know, we should keep up with this type of technology, and we should also be prepared. Personally, as a blockchain developer, how I would prepare myself is, you know, that means you have to upgrade your coding skills. That means you have to know how are this AI thinking, how are they thinking, how do we as developers build them in a way that won't get to harm us, but will be able to make the world a better place. Yeah.
And from your point of view, how does it look like? What is it that we are actually looking at when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution?
Yeah, similar to what Tevin has mentioned, we have aspects like artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, blockchain technology, all these phrase words and interesting terms that we all hear about every day. But the question is, how do they apply to our lives today? How can they help us? How exactly do we use them? And how do we get to a level where, you know, it gets to a certain level where you can only learn so much, especially with age coming. And we have kids coming in. I remember when I started my coding career, I would see kids as early as 6, 7 years old learning how to code. Well, I was learning how to code in my 20s. So how do you...
Some have not even started like you are. You know?
Yeah, some people are
about 20.
So exactly, how do you keep up with the current trends? How do you make sure that you're always updating your knowledge? So the key thing for all people in the industry right now, in all industries, whether it's medicine, whether it's blockchain, whether it's finance, because personally my undergrad is in financial economics, I had to take a step back and learn technology and learn which technologies are applicable in my industry. So for everyone, it's important to know how to learn and learn, relearn, because the fourth industrial revolution means a very fast pace. Like we always say in the blockchain space, that one day in the real world is like 7 days in blockchain, because so many people are building.
Things move fast.
Yeah, machines are learning. We see the IQ of ChatGPT is like 2,000, while the ordinary human is at 100. So how we need to always keep learning, keep unlearning, keep relearning. Yeah.
And that's the thing. There is this fear, and I want you to address that fear for us, Tevin, that this is sort of like another takeover. We are seeing, you know, news splashing that, you know, through artificial intelligence, we are no longer going to be needed, you know. The machines are going to do what we are doing now. Is that fear justified? And I like what she said, technology to support, you know, but is that fear justified from your point of view, that it's a takeover, it's going to be relevant?
I don't really think I don't really think it's a takeover. I think it's just a point whereby we just have to adapt. The same way we've been adapting all those times, you know, the whole point of how humanity has existed. I think it's just a point of it's like more like upgrading. In the past, we used to use other forms of trading, other forms of money, you know, from coins now to notes, and now on the blockchain side, we want to move to the cryptocurrency aspect. So it's just a matter of adapting. I don't think it's more of a takeover, because you know, we have to also consider that this AI, artificial intelligence, all this everything around it, revolving around it, it's us human beings who have created it. So it's just the same way we created it is the same way we can get to also control it. Yeah, so I don't think there should be any sort of fear.
You shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah, in fact, we should actually tap more into it and get to at least see how that world goes by, because we also have to assume that our kids and the future, they're gonna be on toes with this technology. They have to learn. Right now, kids are learning as low as 1 year. They have small tablets. They can get to at least learn and play some small games about coding. And yeah, it's more of an upgrade, and I don't think you should fear.
So instead of fearing and detaching yourself from it, rather jump into it and actually see what opportunities you can tap. You'll be telling me a bit about the skills that we need to really think about, especially for a young person. You know, what is it that a young person needs to really acquire in a bit? But in case you are there and you're wondering, why are we talking about skills development? Why skills? Why is it a big deal? Let me run you through an interesting report that was released just a few days ago by the Federation of Kenya Employers. They did this in partnership with the Africa Digital Media Institute and Nexford University. And they are just looking at the changing demands in terms of skills in the Kenya's workforce. And they studied 521 enterprises. And under this, actually, they were looking at demand of skills in various careers. That the careers such as information technology, finance, business management, engineering, transportation, distribution and logistics, and the legal space, they still demand for certain skills that are not there. And why perhaps you need to really focus on such information when we receive it. This will interest you. This particular survey also highlighted that 20% of the enterprises face hard-to-fill vacancies, leading some to employ applicants who have qualifications below what they had initially advertised. So they settle for less. That's my simple term for that. And also, some would actually be required to, you know, just lower the bar as they employ this particular, or re-advertise and re-advertise. And they find they find themselves in a very difficult position to fill some of these positions that they advertise for, which really speaks to the disconnect between what people have, what people are trained for, what people term as skills, and what the job market actually requires in terms of the skills. And I want to understand from the both of you this disconnect. Where did the rain start beating us from? And when you're talking about the disconnect, what does the world of work require that we seem not to be having? Any one of you can jump on this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, these statistics, are they specifically for Kenya?
Yes, for Kenya.
Oh, you know, we're living in a very interesting time in Kenya where we have the Gen Z generation where you disturb them for 2 weeks, they quit. Yeah, the thing about the current workforce is that these days, Kenya is not limited to just Kenya alone. We have, like, currently, speaking where I've seated in Kenya, it's very difficult for me to get a job as a graduate in this country. I've worked for companies in India, I've worked for companies in the US. Right now, my employer is in Switzerland, and all of them from my own house. So when
you work from your house, employed in Switzerland.
Yeah, because
I want your life.
it's the internet. It's the internet these days. So when I hear such numbers, we're living in a time where youth unemployment is very high, like in Kenya. But is it really high? Because you have a lot of youth who are working online, the gig economy. So when we talk of employers having such high standards, when even the employees have really high standards, because most of us, I remember when we were growing up, it was during the Kibaki era, and he made it very clear that all people must get educated. The advantage about Kenya, and I think a good number of African countries, that we have a very highly educated youth. So right now, when employers are getting so strict on us, the youth are also right now in a space where we can get jobs anywhere in the world on a global scale. When employers start, at this point, it's not even about what skills you have, is are you willing to learn on the job? Are you willing to grow into the role? Are you willing to adapt with the current times? It doesn't matter what you, because you can't really rely on what 844 is or what we are learning right now in school. You can learn something today. We can take a course online and do it within 2 hours. Like, for example, the company that we work in, we offer a course, a self-paced course, where you take 100 minutes and you become a certified blockchain developer. And that comes so easily, as opposed to telling someone that you need a physical paper, a certificate. It doesn't...
5 years experience.
5 years experience.
You just graduated last year.
Exactly, exactly. My point exactly. And at a time where, when you look at blockchain developers, we try to look at the. It's a very interesting field, because we look at the younger the better, because they are more adaptable, as opposed to the older generation developers who would be easier to teach new things. So if Kenyan employers are being very strict on this is what they want, this is what they want, us as the youth, we are like, it's fine. We also don't like you.
Really?
The world, that coming, but because the world is currently a playing ground with the internet and the you can work anywhere. Kenyans right now are really on high demand, because before it was Indians who are really on very high demand. But right now a lot of global economies are looking at Africa. One, because we are cheaper. Compared to, if you're looking at a developer, you have the same skill set, someone who's more adaptable, someone who's more submissive, compared to someone in the US, someone who's also cheaper. So the world is looking at Africa to provide skills, to provide services, to provide employment. So if the employers right now are being very stingy, you're fine.
Stay with your job. Anyway, Tevin, what do you think, though? If you look at, you know, the reason I asked this question is because there has been a concern that probably what we are being taught in school nowadays, if we are not careful, may soon just be irrelevant when we are out here.
I agree with Yvonne. I think that, first of all, I think in Kenya, some of the educational aspect is unfair. Unfair in the way, in terms of, for example, let me reference to myself. As a blockchain developer, you have to keep up with the technology. That means if
learning every day.
You have to learn every day. That means if you just sleep today, tomorrow, the same language that you're coding with has upgraded, has changed. Some features have been upgraded. It's better and good. So in terms of skills, I think people need more skills, because sometimes, for example, I can say I'm going to do a computer science degree for 5 years, and then afterwards I don't get a job immediately like I wanted. But then alternatively, I can just go do a free course, like the way Yvonne said, the free learn-to-earn platform. I think it's the Arcade. Yeah, I can just go there, get like 5 courses, learn, get certified, but then my learning journey doesn't end. I still keep on updating and upgrading. I join the community. The good thing about the blockchain side, the Web3 community is you join the community and you get to also contribute to it, because it's us who are building the future.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me talk to somebody who's gone deeper in that community. Yeah, Yvonne, you founded is it a blockchain ladies organization in July 2021? Yeah.
Yeah, the Kenya Blockchain Ladies
Yes,
DAO. Yeah.
Yes. Kenya Blockchain Ladies DAO.
Yeah.
And I mean, for somebody who wants to understand that world and how it works, and right now you're also talking about transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3. We are already transitioning. So talk to those who still are outside and want to get into this community. Why is it important? Why is it an area that we cannot afford to ignore?
Well, it's very important, not even just blockchain, all emerging technologies.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I always say with the organizations, the blockchain, like Kenya Blockchain Ladies DAO and the Kushite ICP, I'm also the co-founder of Kushite ICP Hub East Africa, is that we want to, similar to what Ruto says, we want to create a skill set here in Africa that provides services to the rest of the world. We're tired of being told the same narrative that there are no jobs for the youth, there are no products, there are no, like all the products that we use, the Facebooks, the Google, the Twitters, the likes, are not coming from Africa. We can literally count the number of applications that we use that are built by African developers. That's the narrative that we want to change.
Yeah.
So normally, when we talk of communities are something as simple as joining a WhatsApp group, a Telegram community, following a Twitter page. Like, for example, our hub, Kushite, we have a Twitter page at ICP Kushites. You can follow us. And we have, like, regular classes, just keeping updated on what a community is doing. For example, with Kushites, we have weekly classes. We have one today. And we train people. You get to interact with other developers who are learning how to code, who are learning how to become Web3 developers. And it doesn't really require much it just requires proactiveness. It requires someone to step up, to be online, be online in a community. For example, if we say we have a class, we have a session, we have a Twitter space, it doesn't cost much to just show up.
All right.
Yeah.
But Tevin, for somebody who's asking why?
Why?
You know. Why blockchain?
Why blockchain?
Why?
Why blockchain is because, first of all, we have to consider that's like other countries have already started implementing it. For us as Kenya, we're still getting there. But see, even if we don't keep up with that, other people will keep up with it. So it's good to also just be on toes. And the good thing about blockchain is it connects you with anyone around the world. Like Yvonne said, she's in Kenya, but she works for a company that's in Switzerland. So that's something that we also has also reached in our point of time whereby we feel like the employment part is a bit hectic. But then if you can just be at home, have a laptop, and you get to access all these educational materials for free, which is actually quite good because it's actually good learning for free. For example, we have to consider that some people cannot be able to afford paying a whole tech course for 4 years. Maybe they have challenges, but then we have to also assume that it's just not for people who live in a certain type of world, like the urban areas. Also have to consider that person who is in a shamba right now, and he's a young person, he's the same age as me. If he just wants to earn money more than what he's getting from the shamba, if he has a laptop, he or she has a laptop, and they have internet connection, why not just learn and get to also...
Yeah, so I want you to talk to that young person in that shamba. Tell them what blockchain is and how they can tap the opportunities that are there.
Okay, so the blockchain is more of, it's it's now the world of where we are going from the Web 2 side to the Web 3 side. But then we also can't rule out that the Web 2 side is the foundation of Web 3.
Yeah.
So we are not saying that Web 2 is, we are leaving it.
Yeah.
No, we are actually trying to upgrade the Web 3 side to link up to the Web 2 side. That way the Web 2 side can come to the Web 3 side. So it's good for any young person to just tap into the blockchain aspect, because it's not more about the cryptocurrency side. People always face it as the cryptocurrency aspect, where, you know, that's where governments are so against, you know, people are losing money because, but then for the blockchain side is, as a developer, you get to create these platforms. You get to code it on your own, and you know, the use of AI, things are getting a bit easier. You don't have to cram the whole code and everything. So it's really where everyone is going. And also we have to consider that if we want this, for example, now what people are fearing is the AI aspect. So if we want this, if we want to understand these robots and all this technology that we are building to work for us, we also have to know how to build them. So the blockchain side is fun because you get to build something on your own, and you actually get to achieve it. And the good thing is you also get to employ others, which is actually, you don't have to employ a very own developer just like you. You can get to employ just someone who is just wants to work, you know, just wants to be a secretary, you know. Start a company, set up your booth or set up your office, and you never know how far it can go. So it's the blockchain side is more of bridging the gap between employment and education side, yeah.
Okay, Yvonne, you know, just to demystify the thought that probably such, you know, adventures would be interesting for the technology enthusiasts who probably want to really explore that world and come up with innovations and the likes. If you were to relate this with other people, do they also need to actually have some basic knowledge on some of these issues, and why?
Yeah, you know, the technology, the developers such as Tevin, the software developers are the builders, right? But the people with the vision are usually people like me, people like, you know, people like you. You're the ordinary people. Yeah. For what we do at our hub, we don't really we focus, yes, on developers on the education bit, but we also have a we do hackathons. Hackathons are like intense sessions with developers where they go through 3 days training where they learn how to code and the likes. But on the side, we also do ideathons, because we believe the best ideas don't come from developers.
No, when you said hackathon, I thought it's like a marathon of hacking.
Yeah, we call it hacking. They just, like, devs sit down for like 3 days. Even recently, we had a hackathon in Machakos University, and they went overnight. Like, so there was no sleep. Yeah. They just by 48 hours, they're supposed to have shipped out a product on blockchain. It's usually amazing to watch, by the way.
A hackathon. So the way other people are winning titles in marathon, who knows, who could actually win a title in a hackathon.
Exactly. Yeah. So we also have ideathons for ordinary people, students in universities. Like, you can come to the field, for example, in media or medicine or finance or anything, and tell them, what do you think is a problem in your industry that needs solving, that can be solved by technology? Because we're all using our phones. We all have feature phones. Feature phones are like this kabambes. We all know what would make it better. I think 99% of our users of Kenyans have at least access to a phone. Have at least have some sort of access to technology, and the rest of the world as well. And we can offer solutions on a global scale. So every individual who has at least used technology or some form of technology has an idea, has a problem that can be solved. So when we talk of blockchain technology, it's not just limited to the developers. As long as you have access to your mobile phone, you can become an investor. You can become someone who's an idea person who can actually launch an idea. So it's for everyone, really. It's not just for the limited geeks, tech geeks, yeah.
Okay, so how do we then ensure that these skills, you know, are acquired among our young people, how do you advise practically we work through this, looking even at the education sector and the job market, the policy makers, the individuals themselves? How do we navigate?
Well, for us, at what we do at our community, the ICP Hub, we try and do evangelism and education. Now, evangelism, it means just reaching out mostly to students. We believe most of the big ideas come from students themselves. So we go directly to universities with the hope that they'll also educate their communities. Additionally, having activities like this, like talking to you here on media, we've also had situations. There's a time we just went to Rwanda. We were invited to speak in Rwanda, and we met the government. They just were curious, what is this blockchain technology that everyone seems to be talking about? They later on, we just came from Rwanda like 3 days ago. They invited us to host a hackathon in Rwanda, and that's like the Ministry of ICT in Rwanda. In Kenya, we've not really had that. You know, Rwanda these days has been very progressive. So in Kenya, we've not really had direct conversations with the government on how we can train more people on blockchain technology. But we're seeing other governments popping up, like other governments reaching out to our hub to ask us how can we train developers in our regions. So at this point, it's not really, we can only do so much as a hub. It needs collectiveness. Governments in Africa need to identify that, as Ruto had said, that we need to provide skill sets to the rest. So that's what I believe personally, that Africa's role is. We need to provide skills and employment. We have the youngest population in the world.
And we can, because, you know, for a very long time, we were branded the dark continent. We are just receiving. We actually can, We can give.
We can give. Right now, that's where we're heading. Nigeria is doing a very good job with that. So at this point, needs collective approach. Government is aware of emerging technologies. We as students are aware, the youth are aware, media is aware. So we need collectively to say that we want to do more. Not just, you know, sitting down waiting for people like Yvonne and Tevin to go telling people, you know, you need to learn this skill. No, we need to collectively decide that we want to be progressive as a nation.
Do we perhaps need, Tevin, to twist our curricula and our education so that we acquire these skills there? Because if today I want to learn about blockchain and web development and coming up with those very inspiring innovations, I don't think I'll get it in the regular school or at the basic education level. There's that extra mile that you need to go to. But do we need to be like that yet? We are saying that the future of work is different. This is what the future of work demands. But our education and our systems are not really offering that is required in the job market.
That's a really good point. I personally think that, yes, of course, there's the Web3 side whereby you use different languages, but the foundation that we have already is enough to be able to make you transition to the Web3 side. So, like, for example, if you're just in the tech field, maybe you're a student and you're learning, let's say, computer science or anything, it doesn't mean that now you have to overrule the computer science knowledge that you had. No, it's actually the foundation, because it's just using the same languages that have been used, the Python, TypeScript, the Kibra and everything. It's just the same languages. The only difference is you get, for example, on the Web2 aspect, we need the hosting services. You know, there's the database where you get users' data and everything. But then on the Web3 aspect, you get that everything is completely decentralized. Everything is running completely on the cloud. So, which is actually easier and actually cheaper for us developers. So it doesn't mean that we need to change our curricula, but of course there are those special trainings where you can't get, because, for example, in Kenya, there's no university that is offering blockchain courses. But then, since all these educational aspects where you get to reach out to those students and they just learn, they learn externally, it's still enough, because, for example, if I teach someone, I'm expecting that they'll be able to teach someone else. Yeah, so it's more of give, and then the next person to the next person, and that's how we are gonna actually tackle this.
I hope we'll get to a space though that we normalize it to be like our regular classroom lessons. You know, you're talking about young kids learning coding at very tender age. How does that work for a topic that one would feel maybe is a bit technical even for adults? How do you cascade or sort of soften that knowledge to be able to fit the young mind?
Oh, it's really the same. As long as someone knows how to read and write, that's it. Like even for us, as long as you know how to read A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's all. Like as long as you have basic digital literacy. I mean, kids right now can take your phone. Like you can, like if you give a kid your phone, they'll probably do things that you
cannot do yourself. You didn't even know that phone can do that.
Exactly. So it's actually it's happening right now, and it's just actually with the question that you asked, Tevin, if the foundation that we have is good, it's actually all that needs to be learned right now is one, discipline. Like discipline to just sit down, especially in a space where we're being fed a lot of information. Can you sit down for like 2 hours and work on something? And can you learn a lot? We normally say, even me, I have like about 5 years experience in blockchain. But where I am at this stage, I am not as qualified as someone who has 1 year experience in blockchain, because the person who has 1 year experience in blockchain has learned what's happening this year, while I'm still basing what I've learned for the past 5 years.
That's how the world of tech.
So like it doesn't.
So it's up to you to keep learning.
Yes.
To keep growing.
So 5 years experience in tech is
nothing. You actually
that
become more disposable because they say you're not as progressive, because as you grow older, you become a bit more stringent. So I think even Caroline Mutoko once said, every 5 years the graduates come out, and then like people can do your stuff cheaper, faster. So every time you need to learn and unlearn. So the skill that people need to have that basic foundation of reading, writing, digital literacy, and then growth mindset. Actually at Moringa School, I went to Moringa School. It's a software boot camp. They just teach you for like 1 hour in the day. While I was there back in the day, they used to teach us for 1 hour in the day, and it was you were supposed to be there for 9 hours. 1 hour they sit down with you, they teach you. The rest of the day is for you to sit down and teach yourself. So in the current modern world, it's not about a teacher studying in front. Can you teach yourself? Can you sit down on the internet and learn how it works? And kids can do that. Us as grown-ups, can we
still very rigid, waiting for teachers with chalks and
exactly.
I'm listening to you, and I'm wondering how you got into this space. Let's talk about women and careers in STEM. That is still another area that is yet to be really fully explored by women. Tell me a bit about your entry into this space, and even you founded an organization just to bring the ladies on board. What was your motivation?
Well, well, as a woman in Kenya, just without the tech, shedding all that off. When you finish uni, like during our time, I finished uni in 2018. Finished uni, you go into the workforce. That back in the day, we used to know that once you finish school, you normally stay like a couple of years, brown envelope. We used to call it brown envelope, walking around with a brown envelope. Tamarking. So that happened to me. Like immediately I finished school, I studied at Strathmore. I finished school, and then I went into the streets looking for a job. And then I couldn't find one. As expected, it wasn't new. So I went into coding bootcamp because I could see that even at Strathmore, when we were learning finance, we were being told at internship level the amount you should expect is like 10K, 20K at internship, which I thought was normal. Then I decided, okay, since I'm seeing, I remember the first time I saw kids coding was at Strath. They were coming into school to learn how to code. So I decided, since kids are advancing, let me try and go to Moringa and see what I can get. I went there, and the language was completely different. They were like, you know, first, you're not supposed to be seated in the classroom learning, and second, your starting salaries should not be, you shouldn't be thinking, you know, free internship. You should be thinking like the numbers were significantly bigger. But then I couldn't code. I remember sitting down after 1 month, 2 months, I dropped out. It was a bit difficult for me. So, but I knew that I still wanted to be part of the technology world. And with blockchain technology, I normally say blockchain is like finance on steroids. What we learned at financial economics was exactly the same thing, because we learned the same thing when we talk of blockchain. The first time blockchain was had was with Bitcoin. And the policies that Bitcoin was attacking was like centralized systems. It was talking about even the way people are trading. It was everything I learned in school, like dividends, stocks, bonds, everything I learned in school was what was applying here, but at a faster pace, at a more digitalized pace. So I knew, when I saw it, I knew this is what is for me. So I just started interacting with the communities. They were having meetups here and there. I'd go listen to them, listen to the traders, listen to software developers, how they talk, and I just mingled with them, interacted with them. At that time, I'm still job hunting. I remember that time I was selling Zuku. I think everyone after school sells Zuku.
Somewhere.
You sell something somewhere. So if I was selling them somewhere, then going to a blockchain meetup to learn about, you know, what can I do there.
All right.
Yeah.
We're almost winding up. So I just want the final words, 30 seconds each, and just to finalize, encourage a woman who probably still talk to women and encourage them to get into this space, and then you can also give me your final words. Let me start with you, Yvonne.
Okay, so normally women shy away from STEM, like technology. They shy away from, you know, coding and the likes. Even when we were at school, there were less women. But I always say you don't really have to be a developer or very technical to join the technology space. You can just show up, be proactive, participate. There's so much women can do in the space. You can be starting at community management level. You can be social media manager, all within the technology space as you grow. There are so many roles women can play in blockchain and other emerging technologies. So follow us at ICP Kushites. We offer such courses where we train women and developers.
Thank you, Tevin.
I guess I'd just like to say that we have the best brilliant minds, personally, in Kenya. I believe so. And on the tech side, on the blockchain side, as a blockchain developer, those are the people you're trying to fish out at the moment. And, you know, the ones that stand out because they determine our future. If, for example, the government was required that they need blockchain developers to develop a certain system that is going to help the whole of Kenya, where will they find them? You know, they find them, of course, through all of us and through us learning and everything. So I'd just like to motivate you know, developers to move into this side.
Thank you so much, Yvonne and Tevin, for creating time for us and for trying to debunk this topic that many think is too technical. Now you know it's closer home. You actually need it. We all need a workforce that is agile, resilient, and of course well equipped for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead of us. We need everyone on board, individuals, employers, the government, the policymakers, the people who are in charge of our education system. All that needs to work together so that we can have a workforce that is relevant. Thank you so much for creating time for Daybreak this morning. My name is Safina Cheng Oma. Have a lovely day ahead.
Thank you.